ਤੂੰ ਡੋਲੀ ਚੜ੍ਹਦਿਆਂ ਮਾਰੀਆਂ ਹੀਰ ਚਿਕਾ ਤੇ ਮੈਨੂੰ ਲੈ ਚਲੇ ਬਾਬੁਲਾ ਲੈ ਚਲੇ.
How to understand what is hidden? Like when we communicate, sometimes, as you said, that words are just 7%. Baki 93% is hidden. So how to understand the 93% hidden message? Like I'm speaking something else, but I intend to say something else.
You can't take the spoon like this. You have to do it like this.
Right. Okay.
6 to 12 fashion. We take it as a clock.
Okay.
So you move your spoon. Generally what you're doing, you take the soup and you drink it like that. Which is not the correct way of having soup. Everywhere in the world, there are people who are two-faced.
Right.
They, on your face, they are going to be very kind to you, and behind your back, they can be totally different. I trained a lot of students on public speaking, and you will be surprised to know that the number one fear in the world is the fear of public speaking, which is known as glossophobia.
Okay, yes ma'am, fine, yeah, I'll see you there tomorrow, right? Okay, that's fine, right? Okay, so I'm just swiping the phone and talking to you, and then in just, like lying down. So what do you think about this?
What is the advantage of having all those degrees and all that if you are not able to speak even a single word with somebody?
Exactly, fine.
If you don't have that kind of confidence that you can put across your thoughts.
Afternoon, ma'am.
Good afternoon.
A very good afternoon to all the people. It's amazing to be in this great and wonderful podcast. Today we have Charu Suri ma'am. She is internationally certified image consultant, author, poetess, book publisher, as well as a great image consultant. So today she is going to give me the consultancy of this image, and which is very important. I welcome you cordially in this great podcast, ma'am.
Thank you so much.
How do you feel today?
Absolutely wonderful being into this podcast, and I'm sure we're going to have some great insights into our field, which is a very, very lesser known field. So let's see what I have to reveal about image consultancy.
Exactly. Before I switched to this image consultancy, I just went through your bio and I found that you are a poetess.
Yeah.
I would love to hear a few lines from her.
That was like, okay. So, कुछ बहुत पहले लिखा था कि कुछ लफ्ज़ ढूंढते हैं मेरे ख्यालों के काफिले.
कुछ लफ्ज़ ढूंढते हैं
कुछ लफ्ज़ ढूंढते हैं मेरे ख्यालों के काफिले. मिल जाए इन्हें रूह तो आवाज़ भी मिले. ये जो बेतरतीब पन्नों सी बिखरी है जिंदगानी. आंधियां थमे तो शायद बने कहानी. आंधियां थमे तो शायद बने कहानी.
आधियां थमे तो शायद बने कहानी. और आज चारू सूरी मैम के साथ एक बहुत ही अच्छी कहानी बनने जा रही है. होप सो मैम.
Definitely.
Again, I will request you that you are vocalist as well, classical vocalist, right? Before I switch to this image consultancy, I would love to hear.
So the vocalist part was long back when I was in school or college. I used to sing. But Abhi Shairi has taken over a lot, and my book, which is called Soul Chai, Brewing Warm Tales, it's a collection of short stories which I published with the Oxford in a big way. So that's something I'm more passionate about. But yes, singing happens now in the bathroom. So I'm more of a bathroom singer now rather than... but yes, two lines I can share with you.
Please.
तू डोली चढ़दियां मारियां हीर चिका ते मैनू ले चले बाबुला ले चले वे मैनू रख ले बाबुला हीर आखे वे ते डोली कत कहारनी ले चले वे.
Great, ma'am. Great. Thank you so much. Thank you. You have really a beautiful and so melodious voice.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
And here I could say that, it's amazing. And here I feel like devoting 2 lines for you.
Sure.
Be-
Go ahead. I think it's contagious. Poetry and music is contagious.
Contagious, yes, exactly. So I have few lines for you that कि आपके पास गुलाब से भी बेहतर चमक है, गुलाब से भी बेहतर महक है, और आपकी आवाज़ में वो ललक है जहाँ पे सिर्फ और सिर्फ दीवानगी छा जाती है. And I have become fan and crazy of the voice.
बहुत शुक्रिया.
Thank you, ma'am. Now I am coming to this exact conversation that we are going to start, as I am a personality development coach. Many times I face an issue that I develop the personality, but somehow I don't groom the personality. I feel personally, because I belong to a village, so where I believe that, okay, let's struggle, let's be stronger, let's be tougher. But here we see in metropolitan cities that image, grooming part is important. My first question, very straightforward question, that why we need an image consultant? What is the importance?
Okay. So this question is very apt to start with, because image consultancy is a field. It's in its very nascent stage in India. People don't know what image consultancy is all about. As you said, in villages, obviously in the smaller B towns, nobody knows who an image consultant is and what that person is doing. Obviously in metropolitans, yes, people know what image consultancy is all about, but still there is a notion that only celebrities and high profile people are going to hire image consultants, not normal people are going to hire an image consultant. But what I want to share here is that everyone needs an image consultant.
Okay.
So what we do exactly, we groom you on the ABCs of life. Now, what are these ABCs? These are the ABCs of image.
Okay.
Appearance, behavior, and communication. So the ABCs would be that. And now D and E added to it, which is the digital presence,
Okay.
and of course the etiquette. Very important, manners. So digital presence, since we all are on social media, we are earning our bread and butter from there. You contacted me through social media,
Exactly.
LinkedIn, of course, you contacted me through there.
Exactly.
So digital presence is also something we image consultants talk about. But majorly we are talking about A, B and C. So your appearance would be, we would tell you how to dress up according to your body shape.
Right.
We do a body shape analysis, and now the Korean color analysis, which is so very prevalent everywhere. You see those reels, the drapes and the flags coming in. So that is something we do to discover your wow colors. So once we discover your wow colors, then you know what kind of, that is for a lifetime. That is a lifetime investment you can make.
Right.
And then of course, behavior, empathy, sympathy, respect, your manners, how you talk to someone, how punctual you are, how you greet somebody. Communication, of course, we help you to connect confidently.
Right.
Confidence is key. As we, I think, progress, we are going to talk a lot about communication. So we'll split it into different fields and we'll talk about it. So majorly, it's about appearance, behavior, and communication. And I think by the end of the conversation, you will agree that everyone needs an image consultant. So it's nothing that only the celebrities should hire us or the high-profile people should, especially the students who are into their, they're going to enter into new fields in life. They need somebody who can groom them properly.
Right.
So that's what image consultancy is all about.
That is fine. But when we hire an image consultant, we have to pay fee, right? So we are scared of it. Oh yeah, come on. To learn dressing sense, to learn makeup, we need an image consultant. We have to pay fee. हमसे ना हो पाएगा. Come on. What's your take on this?
Okay. So have you heard something of a blow dry effect?
Not now, not yet. Please.
Okay. So when you go to a parlor, you going for a wedding, visualize this, going for a wedding and you want to look the best, and you get a blow dry done and you looking great.
Right.
And everybody's complimenting you on your looks. Wow, you look so great. But once you wash your hair, everything's gone.
Gone.
Back to frizzy hair,
Right.
back to normal.
Right.
But you've paid a lot for that as well.
Right. Right.
And every time you go to the parlor, you again pay. But this image consultancy is a one-time investment. If you invest in us just once in your life, we give you PDFs for your lifetime, which will stay with you. We give you your wow colors, the entire palette, once we discover the seasonal palette. whenever you go shopping, you have that thing handy with you. Just go and shop. So what I totally believe is that you are your greatest asset. If you invest in yourself, that is something that's going to last you for a lifetime. So believe me, it's not a huge investment. You are paying for your certifications, you are paying for your education. But if you are not well groomed, if you are not well put together, you will have zero confidence. What use are those degrees?
Right.
What use are those certifications?
Right.
So we're just not working on your outer image. As you said, makeup or appearance or clothes, we work from within.
From within. Right. Right.
So that's a series of analysis that we do, and it doesn't happen just in one day. We need a few days with you. We have to discover your lifestyle, your personality, and everything. We go deep into it. It's not just outer image.
Psychology research says that we are judged within 30 seconds, that whether the people get impressed or get depressed. So here comes the first impression, right? So when there is talk about first impression, so especially that physique is just, the way we are walking, the way we are talking, and especially what we are wearing. So what do you think, Loki, what is first impression and how to give an everlasting first impression?
So I personally believe that you should own the room you enter.
Okay.
So any person who enters into a room, of course, I'm meeting you for the first time. I'm sure you already have a first impression about me. The moment I walked into the room, you saw me, I shook hands with you. You created you said it takes 30 seconds, but you'll be surprised to know it takes only 7 seconds.
Right.
It doesn't take 30 seconds at all. It's only 7 seconds that you create an impression about somebody, and the next 7 minutes, you confirm that in first impression that yes, this is the person I want to talk to,
Right.
or I don't want to talk
Right.
to. So if you walk into a room full of strangers, you are going to within the next 7 seconds, you are going to eye people around, and you have to pinpoint, yes, this is the person I want to talk to,
Right.
and this is the person I want to avoid. And a lasting first impression, as you talked about, how to create a memorable, lasting first impression would be, like I said, you should own the room you enter. But a lasting first impression is something what people talk behind your back once you've left the room.
Okay.
When you've gone from there, obviously people are going to say very kind, nice things about you when you are facing them or talking to them.
Right.
You're going to compliment me on everything. But once I leave the room, what you say about me once I've left,
Right.
that's a lasting first impression.
Right. A lasting first impression. Right.
That will remain with you
Right.
for a long, long time. And that happens in the first time as
How to create it?
So that's what we image consultants are here for, to create that.
You're not going to tell it in free of cost.
Obviously, you need to enroll with me. So, of course, there are a few giveaways which I can indulge into and tell you that, yes, we working, as I told you, on appearance, behavior, communication. So it doesn't happen in a single meeting, as I told you, and it takes a long time to get into. See, image is something like a pencil.
Right.
Remember when we were young, we used to go to the shop to get a pencil to write with. So we used to always look for something which is very floral. Remember the Camlin Flora used to come. But if our parents are accompanying us, they would say that we need an extra dark pencil, the Apsara dark, extra dark, which will write very dark and it will not break very easily. So that's what image is all about. It's outer image and inner image. The outer is the packaging, how you dress up, how you groom yourself, and the lead inside, how it writes. The pencil, how dark it writes, how long it will last, is your inner image.
What's first and what is the most important here?
Both are equally important.
Okay.
Outer image is the first impression. Your dress, the way you carry yourself, the way you walk into your room, the way you shake hands with somebody is an instant reaction.
Right.
But then after you talk for 10 minutes, 15 minutes, the inner image comes into play. So it's not that this is important and this is not. So all three things, appearance, behavior, communication, everything is equally important.
Okay.
You can't say that this is very important and you ignore the communication part. You can't. You have to work simultaneously on all three.
Here I will be coming on this appearance part. So appearance part, as we see, there are few ladies or girls, especially ladies, so they put the dark sindoor, right? Very, dark sindoor, the dark lipstick and the very wide lipstick. And So very pompy type of hairstyle and all. So what do you think about this? Like, does it really exist or should it exist in this modern era?
So, for the Sindoor, I think it's their personal religious beliefs. It's okay if they are comfortable with it. So, and for lipsticks and hairstyles and all that, I would say that it's their personal choice.
Okay.
There are different kinds of personality. When we do the personality analysis, we come to know, when we take the yin and yang into like consideration, we come to know there are dramatic personalities, there are aristocratic, there are classic, there are romantic people, creative people, natural people. So it would all depend on the personality of a person, what that person wants to look like. So we are not here to judge people on what they are doing, what they are wearing. But yes, if you are in a professional setup, then you need to little play down upon your weaving image consultants. We can take the advantage or the privilege of dressing up one notch higher, because we are in that kind of profession where we need to look put together all the times and we can play with our makeup. But if you are into a CEO job or somewhere, you need to look little minimal.
Right.
So that's the kind of executive presence you create. So depending on which field you are, where you are going, if you are a celebrity, if you are an influencer, of course, go ahead and flaunt that hairstyle.
Right.
That's fine.
Right.
We are absolutely not here to judge anyone.
Right. And there is no fixing. Like, it's not fixed that you must have this hairstyle.
No.
Okay. So now, what appearance do you like the most?
So, talking about me, I am a classic personality. So, I am sure most of the people are able to make out when they meet me that I'm a classic personality. So, all my appearance would always be, I'm more into like always sophisticated wear, elegance, grace, poise is my style.
Right.
Pearls. So this is my signature. You would like, if you ask someone, Charu Suri, they already have an image of me which comes into play.
Right.
It's not that I put up any kind of a facade. It's me. It's authentic. It's real. That's real me. You'll always see me like this. So that's the kind of appearance I want to put forth.
I went through some of your profiles, DPs, images, and I found that, wow, Charu Suri ma'am is beautiful, 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 and wow, beautiful. How do you maintain this beauty actually? Yes, being 55 years old, I am just 27. Look and look.
And see, probably it's thanks to my genes. I belong to a like a family of very beautiful women. So probably I get it from there. And my daughters, of course, are carrying on the legacy as well. One of my daughters is a model as well.
Oh.
The other one is a lawyer.
Yes.
So she is both of them are equally carrying the legacy of the beauty
Right.
into their genes as well. So I'm thankful to God for that. And just a little bit of care, I think. As I told you, just invest in yourself.
Invest in yourself.
So invest.
Hire image consultant.
So no, don't need to even hire an image consultant. If you think that you are capable of doing it on your own, go ahead and do it. Just take care of yourself, proper lifestyle, a little bit of meditation, a little bit of yoga, walk, healthy food. I totally avoid all junk foods. I am not into packaged foods at all. I like to eat clean and healthy.
Right.
And skincare, of course, at this age you need to, and I'm into very, very minimal makeup. So
Even makeup, right?
yes.
That's great. That's great. You look beautiful. You looked beautiful. You will look beautiful. Always. And now coming to the next point, as you highlighted A, B, C. So I'm coming to this B, behavior. When I talk about behavior, actually there are some people who give very positive vibes, like, wow, meeting Charu Suri ma'am is like, wow, ma'am, I surrender you. And somebody is there like, oh, yeah, I'm not going to talk or I'm not going to give my time to this person. What is a good behavior? And first of all, before you explain good behavior, what is a misbehavior?
So misbehavior, according to me, disrespect is the biggest no-no for me.
Right.
At any age, respect should be given to elders, to seniors. That is very, very important. And then empathy. I'm not talking about sympathy.
Right.
There's a very thin difference between sympathy and empathy. Sympathy is feeling for the person,
Right.
and empathy is feeling with the person.
With the person.
So that is something you need to inculcate into your behavior. What is empathy? So once you are empathetic, you're going to appear warm. the warmth is going to radiate through your face, through your smile, through your eyes.
Right.
So believe me, it's just authenticity.
Right.
You have to be what you are.
Mm.
If you're going to put up a facade, it may last you for a few, probably a week, a few moments, but then you're going to come back to who you are.
Right.
So if you have to create that kind of warmth in yourself, you have to develop it.
Right.
And it takes time.
It takes time.
And that's what we are here for.
You highlighted one good word, that is disrespecting, and it's actually, like it should not be there. And you highlighted one more thing, that is empathy, right? चोट तुझे लगती है तो दर्द मुझे होता है, something like that you want to say. So disrespecting is a misbehavior. Are there some more misbehavior?
Obviously, etiquette we talk about. So very, very important behavior or etiquette I would talk here about would be being not being punctual. So punctuality is something, especially with me. My husband is a lawyer, so he's taught me from the very beginning that being punctual, if you are just 1 minute late for your client, it's going to be a big, big thing.
Big thing, right?
So if you are late there. So this is something with time, and my mother was a professor. Of course, now she's retired, and even my father, he was so disciplined, so punctual. So I think we get it into our genes.
Right.
We have it in our DNA
Right.
that we are going to be punctual. If this time, so I have to be there on time. So punctuality is one thing which is going to help you a lot with your executive presence also. If you're going to do it again and again, you're going to get late. So the other person is going to take you for granted that this will happen. So take it easy.
Right.
Go there late early.
Right.
So punctuality is one thing which is a great put off again. Shouldn't be that. And then greeting someone.
Right.
Eye contact.
Right.
Major behavior changes you have to make.
Right. How to greet?
So there is a specific way of shaking your hands. So we have an entire lesson. We can take a full 2-hour session on how to shake your hands with somebody. So we definitely do this in our workshops where we take body language. So a handshake, we have the 5 S's of handshake, which we teach to the people. What is a proper handshake? It should be a web-to-web contact, eye contact again, smile on your face, just a few words when you greet somebody. Just don't walk away, just shake a hand. And how strong the pump has to be, how many pumps have to be. So it's an entire scientific process of how you shake your hands. So the first time you meeting somebody and that person casually shakes hands with you, but as an image consultant, I know where that person stands.
Right.
We can of course, I told you I'm not here to judge anybody, but yes, we can make out the personality of that person.
What is the right way to shake hand?
Of course. So first would be, this is called the web of our hand.
Okay.
So it should be a web-to-web contact like this. And then it should not be very strong and not very limp. This is a stronger for a lady, should not be that strong, a little lighter. It's better. And then look into the eyes, smile, and 2 or 3 pumps. That's it.
Okay, that's it.
And then move your hands away. Don't keep moving your hands over there.
Behavior, right? My last question regarding behavior, right? How do you analyze a person that he is in well form of behavior or he is in a bad form of behavior?
So manners would count there. Etiquette, of course. The way you greeting a lady. First of all, very important how you are treating her.
Right.
For a man, that would be a big sign of respect, how you are treating a lady. Of course, we are talking of gender equality over here, and we don't want like men to treat us like something very special or something very down.
Right.
But yes, treating a woman still nicely is still very good etiquette and behavior. So
how to impress a lady? How to?
that would be a question you would want to ask a younger woman, not a 56-year-old woman. So probably the younger generation would be a better person.
Better one to answer this question, right?
Obviously.
Okay, coming to this, no, I will not switch to this C. C is quite vast, so we will be switching to C and we will be actually going ahead. But before I start C, I would like to come with business etiquettes. What are the important business etiquettes that we should follow and how to be strong in corporate's world?
Yes. So the executive presence is something we do a lot. I'm doing a lot of corporate work also. So I groom them first of all on their appearance. Again, all the three things come into play here as well. So a well groomed person looks very presentable, and I don't tell you that you have to invest into very huge big labels or brands, or you don't have to invest in like a huge lot of wardrobe and you have 10 pairs of suits or something. But yes, a well ironed outfit speaks it's in itself. Well polished shoes, put together look, personal hygiene, grooming. If you have a beard, it should be well kept. If you have like well cut hair, proper haircut. For a lady, minimal makeup. For an executive presence, minimal jewelry.
Right.
It's nothing very distractive.
Right.
Like supposing if I were to come here today and I have a huge amount of rings in my hands or big statement pieces, necklace or danglers hanging out here, so you're going to get distracted. You're not looking at me, you're looking at all the accessories. Or something very bold if I'm going to wear for an executive presence, doesn't work at all. So this is one thing we concentrate on. And then of course, behavior, as I told you, punctuality is key. You need to be on time. You need to show respect towards your seniors. You need to be very empathetic towards your fellow colleagues and co-workers wherever you are in office. So all these, we take a lot of sessions on decision making, leadership skills, conflict management, stress management, anger management. These are all the things. And then especially in business, I told you as how you shake your hands, how you greet somebody. There should always be a smile on your face over there.
Right.
And then the way you present your business card, the way you receive the business cards, it has a proper process.
Right. Right.
Of handing over the business card, receiving that business card, putting it away. So all those have certain norms. And then when you are going for some probably business luncheon or something, you have to have proper dining etiquette.
Right.
What kind of glass you're going to use, the cutlery, how the fork and knife needs to be used. So all this comes into your executive presence. When we are grooming, training people who are the corporate levels, the CEOs, 1, 2 level of like dressing, then we tell them all these things.
Right.
So it's a complete package. And of course, communication is a vast thing, as you told me. So
There are so many people like who take this dining etiquette or these pampered etiquette, so they take it as lightly. Oh, okay, why to just do this? These are formalities like taking a fork, cutting the banana, eating it. Why not just peel it, shell it and eat it? So what do you think about these kind of mindset people?
Well, it's perfectly fine to just peel the banana and eat it if you are at home or in a setting where you are with your friends or maybe with your family. It's perfectly fine. I would not take away the pleasure of eating a banana to just putting it to fork and knife. But yes, when you are in a formal setting, then definitely you have to mind your manners.
Right.
Which hand the fork goes, which hand the knife goes, how do you cut it, which glass do you pick first?
Right.
Especially we do even tea etiquette, we do wine etiquette,
Right.
which glasses are to be used, how do you hold your wine glass by the stem, you can't hold it by the bowl because it's going to transfer the heat to that, how you swirl it. So it's a huge topic which we teach, and it definitely appears more polished, but yes, when you are with friends or you can put your hair down and do whatever you want to do.
We can usually enjoy it, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Of course.
That is fine. So what is the right way to hold a dining plate?
Holding a dining, we actually talking about sit down dining etiquette.
Okay, sit down dining.
So we have the plate, the smaller plate, the fork and the knife, the glass. All the placements we show you. How do you use? First, what comes? The first course, the second course, the soup. How you drink your soup. How you move your spoon in the soup. You can't take the spoon like this. You have to do it like this.
Right. Okay.
6 to 12 fashion. We take it as a clock.
Okay.
So you move your spoon. Generally, what you're doing, you take the soup and you drink it like that, which is not the correct way of having soup.
Okay.
It would be like this, 6 to 12 fashion.
Okay.
You take the spoon like this, tip it on your bowl, and then bring the soup, the spoon.
Not like this.
Not like this, definitely.
In this way.
This manner.
Okay.
So these are some of the things most of the people don't know.
Even I didn't know it. Now I
Obviously, Now you know what image consultants are there for, obviously.
I need it.
True. I said by the end of the discussion, you will say that everyone needs an
Everyone needs an image
Yes.
consultant. Okay, that's fantastic points that you are sharing, ma'am, and you are teaching and educating to thousands of people and students where they will gain inherit so much information and knowledge. Here I am coming to the vast. No, I will not switch again to the communication. I'll come in the last, but I'm coming to this. Like why image matters and why grooming matters, why development matters.
That if you are not concentrating on your image, you're going to lose out on many opportunities. If you don't project a good image, obviously nobody is going to take you seriously.
Right.
If you have a powering a personality, everybody's like going to sit back. Yeah,
Right.
I'm going to talk to this lady. I'm going to talk to this man. So you're going to miss out on, see, if you have a lot of degrees, you have a lot of certifications and all of that, which are your hard skills, and you don't possess those soft skills. You've not groomed your personality. You don't present a proper hygiene. What is the advantage of having all those degrees and all that if you are not able to speak even a single word with somebody?
Exactly.
If you don't have that kind of confidence that you can put across your thoughts, whatever you have learned in all those years, if you can't put it across, it doesn't matter at all. No?
That is
So you're going to obviously lose out on a lot of opportunities if you're not going to work on your image.
right. Now coming to one of the most important chapters of this great podcast and conversation, that is C. C for communication. So comm skills or communication skills is such a skill that where everything is understood if it is not spoken. The line I went through, that wise men speak because they have something to speak. Fools speak because they have to speak. So what do you think about communication? How to make our communication so much impactful and effective?
So here I would want to ask you a question.
Yes.
So how important do you think words are in a communication?
7%.
Yes, you have it bang on right. So this is known as the Mehrabian theory. Albert Mehrabian, who told us that only 7% constitute your words,
Right.
and 38% is your tonality or your pitch or the way you say,
Right.
and rest of 55% is body language, of course. So I trained a lot of students on public speaking, and you'll be surprised to know that the number one fear in the world is the fear of public speaking, which is known as glossophobia. So even greater than the fear of death. People don't fear death as much as they fear stage fright, public speaking.
Right.
So maybe I have it ingrained in me because I have been on stage all my life.
Right.
Through school, college, I was a vocalist. I was into poetry from that very stage and used to do a lot of debates, declamations and all that. So stage fright doesn't come to me at all. But yes, of course, there was almost a period of 30 years when I was not doing stage at all. I was managing my family and all that. But then again, when I started my second innings around 50 years of age,
Okay.
everything came back very naturally.
Okay.
It doesn't go away. It is into your system.
Right.
It doesn't happen that you did it sometime in school or college and now you forget everything.
Right.
But you don't. See, for me, I had even cleared my UPSC prelims and gave it all away for marriage and children.
Wow.
For over 30 years, I was like totally into household work. And then suddenly there was a remark from somebody who said that, so what do you do? I said, oh, I'm a homemaker. And that person said, oh, you're just a homemaker. And that, like a casual remark, it really hit me hard. That you give your entire life to your family and your children and you are taken so casually that you've been doing nothing.
Right.
So that was some turning point which led me into that I need to prove to myself and to others that
Right.
homemaking is not just something. It is lot more.
Right.
So coming to communication here again. So as I said, that 7% is only words. So most of the people, when we train them on public speaking, they come to me, ma'am, my vocabulary is not very good. English, I fumble with words. I don't know how to put across those words. And I have seen many coaches who are doing
Right.
specifically only on words.
Wow.
So I would say that words are not that important. The way how you say your things, if I would to be speaking very softly to you like this, you would not be interested in me.
Of course.
Or if I'm very loud,
Out, huh?
again, you would not be very interested in listening to what I have said. So you have to maintain that kind of volume, that pitch, that tone that goes with whatever subject you are covering.
Right.
So how you say is, as you said, 38%, 7% is only words. So if you are not very good with English, that's perfectly fine.
Fine.
Hindi किसी भी तरह से कम नहीं है, because I know I'm training children on English only, and people come to me कि मैम English का ये बताओ. It's perfectly fine. Hindi is absolutely equally, rather much more higher,
Right.
because it's our own language, it's our mother tongue.
Right.
So if you can put across your thoughts in Hindi, why can't you put it across in English?
Right. Right.
It's a very, English is such a simple language to learn. And if you have that kind of confidence, your body language, open body, you must have noticed whenever I'm talking to you, I always open my hands.
Yes.
I'm not closing my body to myself. So closing your body to yourself is very defensive.
Exactly right.
So when you open your body, like your hands, it's a very, good body language or good posture.
Right.
The way you are demonstrating to people, they're going to immediately create a connect with you. Eye contact, again, very important. So body language is very, important.
Anglophobia, fear of English, phobia of English.
So, I think the basics everybody would know. But yes, as you mentioned that you come from a village background, and of course we come from a convent background. I'm from Jesus and Mary. So of course we again get it into our genes. We don't have to struggle.
English.
We speak English. So we are taught that way. So one very easy thing to do, what I tell my students is to stand in front of the mirror at home. Whatever you think in English.
Okay.
Don't even speak.
Okay.
Start thinking in English.
Okay.
If you want to, like, you have to speak in English, and English is something which you dread, don't want to speak in.
Right.
Start thinking in that whichever language you want to master, start thinking in that language. Don't even speak that language first.
Right.
Just think that, and then read a lot.
Okay.
Reading is going to, the vocabulary
I'll read.
comes itself. Once you start reading a lot of good books, that is important.
Good books.
Yes.
Yeah.
Once you start reading those books, that vocabulary, instantly you don't even feel that if you're coming to a coaching institute or somewhere, they're going to teach you, yeah, today you're going to learn these 10 words.
Right.
So those only 10 words stay with you, and the rest
Gone.
you blanked out. But when you read a good book, at least 5,000 words by the end of the book, you've already new words you've learned. So inculcate that kind of habit, and as I said, start thinking in that language, and once you've mastered the thought, then speak in front of the mirror.
Right.
Stand in front of a full-length mirror and start speaking. See, for my poetry, I do a lot of stage shows for poetry as well. So for the past 2-3 years, that has been put on hold because this image part has taken, like, for my age, people tell me you need to slow down. So because I'm doing a lot. So I'm traveling a lot for all that. So yes, when we do stage shows, सबका दिल धड़कता है एक बार.
बिल्कुल. हाँ.
डर सबको लगता है.
हाँ.
It's not कि nobody feels nervous, but yes, practice makes you perfect. Now, since even for this podcast, you don't have to prepare for anything. It's normal talking.
It's normal talking.
I'm talking to you.
Right. Right.
And I'm talking to you on a subject which is my forte.
Exactly.
So I don't need to prepare for it. Whatever you throw at me, I'm going to take it.
Right.
Because when you have in-depth knowledge, that's why I said think, process that thought in your mind in English. That I'm going to speak this tomorrow.
Right. Right. Fact. That is
So
fact.
that's what communication is all about. And then confidence is key.
How to understand what is hidden. Like when we communicate, sometimes, as you said, that words are just 7%. Baki 93% is hidden. So how to understand the 93% hidden message? Like I'm speaking something else, but I intend to say something else. How to?
So that is going to come across on your face. That will show in your appearance also. You have some other thought in your mind and you're processing something else. You are talking of something else. That will show.
Right.
So that also comes with experience. We as image consultants can see that this person had more to say
Okay.
or less to say,
Right.
or he was not intending to say this.
Right.
He wanted to say something else, especially in corporates and everywhere. Everywhere in the world, there are people who are two-faced.
Right.
They, on your face, they are going to be very kind to you, and behind your back, they can be totally different. So that comes with experience. Of course, at this age, we've learned a lot of life experiences behind us, and we know people how. But my policy, this thing would be that I don't say in front of people. Even see, like when we are traveling somewhere, we are at the airport or somewhere, and you see a person walking from there, and then you can, as an image consultant, you can immediately see that something is amiss.
Right.
This outfit doesn't work for that person. This color doesn't work for that person.
Right.
Body language is not correct, but then we don't say unless we are hired to say that. So that we already know, but we don't convey it to that.
Again, it is all about business.
Not so much about business, but it's so much about etiquette.
Right.
You've not asked for, please don't comment.
Please don't.
You have your thoughts to yourself. You have formed an opinion about that person, but keep it to yourself.
Right.
That person may feel hurt. And of course, if that person asks you, ki, yes, I feel that my this outfit is not very up to the mark, I want to work on it, or my body language is not that great, I want to work on that. Of course, then we are going to tell everything.
I'm giving a symbol, like if I am communicating with you and I'm like, yes, ma'am. So I just want to say that everything is fine. So what am I representing, or what's happening with me? Why am I doing?
So here you obviously appear to be nervous. You're not very sure with your thoughts, what you want to put across. You're not very confident. And obviously it's showing in your body language, your gestures, your facial expressions. Everything is conveying everything to me. So the person who is especially in a corporate field or somewhere in offices, the boss, I'm sure, is much, much experienced, and they know what you are putting forth, especially for interviews.
Right.
The panel who is sitting there, they know
Right.
what they are judging you on, not just on their your degrees or your certificates, but much, much beyond that.
Right. They're testing your personality.
They even testing somewhere under the chair, how your legs are moving, how you keeping your hands, are you fidgeting, are you nervous, or your palms sweating, are you like nervously doing like this, these body
Raise the
actions.
hands.
So they're watching you on everything.
Right.
So this is something you can definitely work upon. Doesn't it?
Now one more representation is there, like, okay, yes, ma'am, fine, yeah, I'll see you there tomorrow, right? Okay, that's fine, right? Okay, so I'm just swiping the phone and talking to you, and then in just, like lying down. So what do you think about this?
Definitely not proper etiquette. Again, phones need to be definitely switched off or put on silent mode whenever you are talking to someone. And definitely very, very bad etiquette that we even see nowadays, that people, even with friends, when they are going out, 8 children or teenagers are sitting on the dinner table or wherever they've gone to a place outside, and everyone is scrolling through their phone. They're checking their reels, they're checking social media,
Right.
which is total disrespect for the person you are coming to.
Right.
You are like you've invited a whole bunch of friends to a party, and then you are busy with your phone. And for that matter, you will be surprised to know even talking to someone with your sunglasses on is not proper etiquette.
Right.
You need to remove those sunglasses and direct eye contact with that person. That is proper manner or etiquette which you need to.
Sometimes we feel that we are complete. हम तो मुकम्मल है. वो कहते हैं सोचने से मुकम्मल जहाँ नहीं मिलता, थोड़ी सी इबादत से खुदा नहीं मिलता. So here we feel like we are complete, we are perfect, and we don't feel like bowing down, being polite, being sweet. So we have that dominancy or dominating body language and tonality. What do you think about this? Like, does it
So I would not call that dominance. I would call that arrogance.
arrogance? Okay.
So I think life is a learning process. We never cease to learn anything. So for me at 50, if I start my certifications all over again and study for a person who doesn't know ABC of laptops or computers, I had started to learn it all over again.
Right.
And for me, COVID was kind of a blessing.
Right.
that my children were working from home, so they taught me everything. How do you go about it? And I could complete my certification at that time, and that too, which was supposed to be we get at least 1.5, 2 years to complete our certification because it's assignment based. I completed in 10 months flat.
Okay.
So that was the passion, that was the inclination
Right.
with which you do. So as you said, that people think they know everything. And especially I see here in Delhi, all the affluent ladies, the South Delhi, so-called South Delhi women, they think that they know it all.
Is it a kind of attack?
No, it's not. As I said, I'm not judging anyone over here, but it's kind of arrogance when they think that they know everything. After learning all this of image and all that, I would say I don't even know 10%.
Right.
I have so much more to learn. How can I say that I know everything? How can you say this, that I've learned everything? Because knowledge is a bottomless ocean. You can't have enough of it.
Right.
You keep on learning all your life, and if you are not studying, you are learning from your experiences.
Of course.
So it's always a learning process. You can't say that now I will like cease to exist for learning, but I'm done. I'm going ahead. So even after completing one of my certifications, I'm going in for more.
Right.
I'm doing more because this field is attracting me so much and it has so much to offer. It's totally science-based. See, like when we do color analysis, if you go through the reels and all that, then people are saying that if you have blue veins, then you are a cool tone. If you have green veins, then you are warm tone. So this is just a fraction of the color analysis. We are doing a lot more. We do the She analysis, which the skin, your undertone, whether you're cool or a warm, your eyes, what is the pattern of your eyes? Inside the eyes, do you have speckles? Do you have a halo? Do you have a no specific pattern? And then the color of your eyes, the color of your hair, the color of your eyebrows. So it is all science based. It's not just a hit and run that we are putting drapes across your body and see this works, no, this doesn't work. So this works, no, this doesn't. So stop wearing this color. So we are going to give you sustainable fashion. We'll not say ki take out your wardrobe and throw everything out. This is not your alley.
Right.
We are going to make you realize how it will work
Right.
for you.
Right.
How we can do it. Supposing black is not my color. So if I want to wear black, I would want to do something which is my color closer to my face. I can wear a black.
Right.
But I'll wear something which is my color. Supposing ivory is my color, so would be closer to my face. Supposing I'm putting warm tones on my makeup, then lipstick would be a warmer tone. My blush would be a warmer tone. So these are the things we can I will not tell you ki throw away all your whatever outfits you have.
Right.
We'll tell you how can make it. Supposing there's you are a rectangle body, and if I tell you no, the sheath dress doesn't work for you, you throw away all your dresses. We don't do it like this. We'll tell you which kind of belt, where you have to cinch your waist, where you have to put that belt so that it works for you.
Right.
So that's the kind of thing the image consultants tell you. It's not that if you hire an image consultant, be prepared that this much amount you have to give it to them and then you have to invest so much in your wardrobe.
It's like complete transformation in
Yes, we call it the 360 degrees transformation. Not just your appearance, not just your makeup.
Right.
See, if you're talking to me, how long then will you keep looking at me if I have nothing to offer?
Right. Right.
Appearance, a lot goes beyond appearance.
Right. Right.
A pretty face can look pretty for 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 1 hour.
Right.
But then the brain,
The brain.
the heart,
The heart. Right.
what kind of brain you have, what knowledge you have, what kind of warmth in your heart do you have. So those are some of the things that work.
The last question in the communication, that is, there are some people who are over polite in their communication, in their tone. As you mentioned, that if I talk like this, hello ma'am, how are you? All fine, all good. So like there are so many people that who do the same. They feel like that if we speak in this tonality or in this body language, we are going to be so much sweet for the opposite people. What do you think on this point?
So if it is in their personality, if they are like attuned like that, and if they generally in their normal life also they talk like that, then it's fine.
Okay.
But if you are putting it up for a special person or a special event, please don't do that.
Okay.
Because how long are you going to do that? You can't pretend. You have to be real. You can't keep on putting up a pretense that I'm like this, I'm very polite. And at home, you are one rowdy person. You are like,
Hitler.
yes. So if it is your personality, that kind of polite, some people it's in their like personality only. They speak very softly.
Right.
So that's fine. That person comes across with, that person will always talk like that.
Should they change?
No, you shouldn't.
No.
No, you shouldn't change. What is your original personality should always shine through.
Okay.
What we as image consultants do, we play on your strengths and play down on your weaknesses.
Okay.
So when we do that, if you consider this, I would not consider this as a weakness if a person is very polite.
Right.
So if you consider it कि ये मेरा weak point हो रहा है, people don't take me too seriously that I'm very polite. So of course we can play it down and highlight the other strengths that you have. So that's how as you talked about the circle, it happens that you are going to highlight all your strengths. So that's how things work.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you so much. I think that it was really a great podcast with you, right? So I have conducted so many podcasts, but I think it was one of the most organized podcasts. Organized, very organized. Because where I think these people are going to get the complete niche insights of image consultancy. And thank you so much to share with me. And I have learned a lot from you today.
Thank you so much. It's my pleasure.
They are also going to learn a lot.
Yes.
So ladies and gentlemen, I hope that this podcast was amazing for you. And you must be learning a lot from this podcast. You must be gaining and taking out of this podcast. And thank you. Keep watching and be tuned with us. And we will come with so many insights and so many other topics. बहुत बहुत शुक्रिया मैम. Thank you so much.
बहुत शुक्रिया आपका.
Thanks.
Thank you.